This bonus episode of the Teen Writing Nook is brought to you by the Works in Progress folder, because we all know that's where the real magic and the real mess is hidden. Season 1, Episode 6, State of the Nook. This is the Teen Writing Nook. 14 writers by teen writers. Creativity, not consistency. Chaos, not perfection. I'm J.K. Williams, your host, and this is the March check-in bonus episode. Surprise! It's Wednesday, and we're doing something a little different today. You see, every 3 months or every quarter, whatever you want to refer to it as, I want to pull back the curtain on what's actually happening in my writing life. This is your first quarterly bonus episode. Of course, there'll be other bonus episodes, sometimes with special guests, but these quarterly bonus episodes are going to be sneak peeks at my writing life. And yeah, let's just dive in. I'm J.K. Williams, and right now I'm deep in the trenches of book 2 in my Romantasy trilogy. If you've ever hit that middle of the book slump where you suddenly question every life choice you've ever made, yeah, that's where I am, but we're pushing and powering through it. Outside of my novel, I've been busy rebranding. You might have noticed the new podcast, new email, new socials. You see, I just switched pen names, which is a big process. And, I did it because I really just wanted a different brand, a different style to my writing and life. So it's been a really crazy last 3 months. And I've been, organizing my home library, getting my podcast up and running. I went to a writing conference, Get Inked, at St. Mary's College in Notre Dame. Highly recommend it. It's once every year. They have one in-person conference in February and then another recorded conference, I think a week or two later. And, it's just been a little crazy with the pen name switch and the podcast and social switches and email switches and all the stuff that comes with the pen name switch. But it feels like I'm finally finding the right font for my story and everything is starting to click. Since this is a bonus episode, I want to hear from you. What are you working on this spring? Are you starting something new or finishing an old project? DM me on Instagram or leave a comment on Substack, and I would love to hear about it and celebrate with you because writers are hard workers and people often discredit us way too much because they don't know how much stuff goes into writing, how much energy, how much creativity. And so I want to give you that credit. And I don't know how if you're not sharing with me what you need credit for. So I want to take a moment to celebrate your writing journey in addition to mine. So I hate to ruin the vibe with some self-promo, but I feel like I kind of have to. So I'm working on my Romantasy trilogy, and in the first book, they are trying to destroy a monarchy version of America that took over in 2040 by going back in time and collecting relics and artifacts that will help them perform a big spell to abolish the monarchy. And along the way, the main character realizes that his partner isn't who he says he is. The whole premise of book 1 is, will they get over it? Who will win? Will good defeat evil, and will the two stay together as boyfriends? Then, in my second book, they have, from altering the past timelines, corrupted 3 new countries, and they have to go back in time again to learn magic that has been lost art for a long time, and then they must perform a special spell to restore the world back to where it needs to be. Now, I say this is a trilogy, and it might be a trilogy with a third book. I know some elements I'd like to include for the third book. I don't know the plot yet, which is a big problem. But I was also thinking that it could be a circle series, and I'll explain what that means in just a minute. But because I said it's a trilogy, I'm probably going to try to stick with the trilogy, and we'll see how that goes. But if it ends up being a circle series, oh well. Now, for those of you who are wondering, a circle series is a word that I invented, probably. I don't know if it's a real word or term, but what it means for me is that the end of book 2 leads back to the beginning of book 1, and you just have to keep reading it over and over again, and the pattern is never broken. There's never that happily ever after. Right? So in book 2, they could have restored all the rest of the world, but America has fallen back into that monarchy. And so we go back to book 1 to see if they can destroy that. And then we read book 2 and uh-oh, they destroyed other countries, and we read book 2 again, and then we read book 1 again, and you just keep going back and forth between the two. Now, I do not like that idea entirely, but it might be what I have to go with. But I'm trying really hard to come up with that idea for the plot for book 3 in the trilogy. All right, so I've poured out my writing life, my project statuses, and I've done a little self-promo. And I really just want to hear from you about your projects and your experiences, and if you have any similar problems with writing, like a big choice to make between X or Y, whether that X and Y is ending a book on a cliffhanger and writing a second book, or making it a series versus a trilogy, or whatever, right? A series has to have 4 books, a trilogy only has to have 3. So, I want to hear if you're having problems deciding between X and Y, whatever that X and Y is. If it's related to writing, I want to hear that problem. I want to hear about your projects. I want the comment section of this episode to be an explosion of self-promotion, because really, self-promotion is actually how a lot of people find good reads. And so just DM me with your projects, put them in the comment section, give me all your problems, and I'd love to build this community even stronger. All right, that just about wraps things up for this episode. This bonus episode, actually. So I would love to have you reach out to me with your projects, but also I'd like you to give me some feedback on the podcast itself. Please send any feedback to my email, which is oh no, that's my Instagram handle, sorry. DM me on Instagram or send it via email. My Instagram handle is at jkwilliams.author_13. Once again, that is at jkwilliams.author_13. Or send any feedback about the podcast to my email, which is jkwilliams.author@outlook.com. Please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is at jkwilliamsofficial. Follow me on Instagram and on Substack. Have a great next quarter. This has been the Teen Writing Nook. You're in the Nook, so you should probably be writing. Have a great day.